Good evening, afternoon, or morning, or depending on whenever you're watching this video. My name is White Knight, and I was just going to give you a brief tutorial on the basics of a PvP Ret Paladin. Some of you may know me as I do hang around Bajira stream a lot, and I usually group up with him on BGs or just arena skirmishes, but the extent of my PvP is very, very basic. I normally don't do anything competitive. I'm strictly just basic BGs, just anything that's just on a fun basis, nothing competitive really. It's just what I prefer, and if you prefer to just have fun, then this is probably the perfect video. If you're a hardcore competitive PvPer and you're expecting like the most elite stats and perfect setup and everything, this video is probably not for you. But this is, like I said, is just a basic video of talents, gear, and just all sorts of like maybe hints about the class of the Paladin, Ret Paladin to be more specific. To start off, I will go through the talents that I have. These are the talents I prefer. They're pretty much the same. All of our paladins usually maybe one or two minor differences depending on what you prefer. For example, my first preference is the long arm of the law. I say that 10 times fast. Just because I like the movement speed increase. The other talent that's also quite popular at level 30 is the Fist of Justice. The level 45 talent, I've seen two abilities. I prefer the Selfless Healer one, especially like after you get a killing blow, and believe me, when you have wings pop, after I'll go into that later, you'll get like an instant high-powered crit. I've gotten instant crit heals for about 140k sometimes, which has been game-breaking, and some twos of that I've done in the past, where I had a partner about to die, and I had an instant flash of light, and after I got a killing blow, he went from pretty much like 10% up to like 40% instantly, and it was able to keep him alive to finish the last player. But another thing I've always seen people use, I've seen people use Sacred Shield as well. This is your preference. I prefer the instance flash of light after a few judgments has been cast. The Sacred Shield is also good. I've never really used it, but I can see why people would use it. There's two choices for level 60. For BG purposes, I like the Unbreakable Spirit. The other option is Clemency, where all your hand abilities have two charges. The Clemency ability is very, very good in arenas and twos, especially I would say more so in twos, just because of the fact that most two matches I like to do are 2 DPS, where the match is over in a minute or so. If you burst them down, you win. If you don't, yeah, it's a good game. You lose. But that's pretty much Ret Paladins in a nutshell. It's the burst. But like I said, I'll get into that later. The PvP talent for level 75, like I said, this is strictly PvP, is Holy Avenger. This is add to your insane amount of burst that you can do. The level 90 talent is his Execute Sentence. Now, this is a personal preference for me. I like the Execution Sentence for the self-heal rather than the heal to an ally, or rather than actually using it for damage. I very rarely use it for damage, because I found the self-heal to be a lot better in situations, especially in battlegrounds when you don't have a healer maybe following you around. I've also used it for clutch occasions to heal, because it has a very good initial heal off the start, and then it slowly decays as it's on your ally or it's on yourself. The other two talents, I've used Lighthammer in PvE purposes, but I've never really used Holy Prism. I don't know of an instance where you would use Holy Prism. The level 100 talent is Final Verdict. This is, like I said, for PvP only. The Final Verdict is also good in PvE situations, but for PvP, I like Templar's Verdict because of two things. It gives your spender a little like a 10-yard range, which is I find very valuable. I like the fact that paladins have the ability to use range abilities quite a bit. They're like a range melee class. It doesn't make much sense, but I know they're going to be changing that in Legion. But for right now, Final Verdict is the way to go. As for gear purposes, my gear is pretty much all decked out in 710. I do run the 4-set bonus. The only thing I don't have is the chest piece because you want extra versatility. While I'm on the subject of versatility, your enchants should be all versatility. Um, the it's just to keep your survival up for a little bit because paladins are very squishy, and if you don't have a lot of versatility, you might as well just take your clothes off and go in naked. But versatility is probably the number one stat, minus the weapon enchant, which is obviously mastery. The one thing I've noticed about paladins is that a lot of the high-end players don't run their 4-set. For me, I just like the 4-set just to have the 4-set, just to have a little extra damage. The most paladins go for more mastery. I believe they do not use the pants and the gloves tier. They actually get the mastery pieces for those, or I think it might be versatility. But I believe it's more mastery to do more damage in this case. But choice, like I said, the choice is yours. I prefer just the 4-set because I just like using 4-sets in PvP, even though the mastery might be a little better for damage. For stats wise, like I said, mastery is probably what you're doing for damage. So if you're going to be using a buff out in the field, you probably would want to stick to your mastery buff. Because believe me, when I went with Vajir, he likes the fact that I do buff mastery because he hits a lot harder with the mastery buff, and I'm sure he enjoys having it on him at all times. But one thing I do want to go over next is the glyphs. If I can just find them, here we go. Glyph wise, there is like I said, a few of them. These are the ones I prefer. One glyph that I strongly that you do not take is hand of sacrifice, because when you're casting sacrifice on an ally, not only are you taking damage when they take damage, it also prevents you from taking certain CC. So if you get polymorphed and your ally's getting attacked, his damage that's transferring from him to you will actually break that polymorph, so you'll actually be less of a CC hazard on the field. The glyphs that I like to take is the glyphs of the Burden Guilt. This is just because I don't like to be kited. Kiting is probably one of the most frustrating things in this game. That's why I was never really. I mean, I did play warrior for a long time, but I switched to the Ret Paladin because I liked the style a little better. I liked being a support role as well as a damage dealer. The other talents I like to take is the Templar's Verdict, which is you take less damage. This is a much needed glyph, this Templar's Verdict one. And then I also like to take Divine Shield because when I'm in a clutch position, I like to save, and I see like 2 rows of dots on myself. The Divine Shield heal that you get after all those dots being removed, or any type of debuffs that you have, will actually heal you for like 35% of your health, which will, hopefully they don't have like a warrior or a priest to get rid of your bubble, but you should be able to get away in most situations with the Burdens of Guilt and the Long Arm of the Law combination. You'll snare them and you'll have a speed burst on top of that. So you use your judgments to pretty much get away from dicey situations if you need to get out of there. One thing, the advantages and disadvantages of being a Ret Paladin is what I'll get into next. One of my favorite things about Ret Paladins is the burst. The burst is insane on Ret Paladins, especially when you get fully geared. You get Berserk. The damage with the 30% buff to Berserk is just insane. I was doing a battleground with a friend of mine yesterday, and my Templar's Verdict alone, I'm not counting the mastery, was hitting for 100k. So add the mastery buff on top of that, you're talking like 160, 170k just Templar Verdicts. Or, I'm sorry, Final Verdicts. And you combine that with your hammer and all these other abilities, you're just dropping guys left and right. I did make a burst video on my channel pretty much showing the burst and how ridiculous it can be sometimes. It's a short 2-minute video. I strongly suggest you check it out. Another one of the good things I really like about Paladins is the cooldowns that you get and the supportive role that you play. For example, you have the ability to self-heal. That's one of my favorite abilities. Another clutch occasions, like I said, is the execution sentence, lay on hands, or bop, anything one of those where you can help an ally out live is I really like that role. One of the key items I like to use is also Hand of Sacrifice, where they take 30% less damage, and it helps you prevent from being CC'd a little bit. The some of the disadvantages about being a Ret Paladin is it's too obvious to know when they have their cooldowns going. If the other team is coordinated and knows what they're doing, they can probably put you in a nasty CC chain while your wings are going. And if you're unable to do anything when your wings are popped, you don't do much after your wings are down. I mean, you can do some damage, but the damage that is up during wings is just too valuable, and a bad CC combo against you can really give you a bad day. Or if you pop wings and you kill one guy and realize there's no one else around and you're just sitting there with 10 seconds of wings, it feels like a big waste of DPS. So, but unfortunately, it's like a 2-minute cooldown in BGs. I use it like when I see like 3 or 4 guys in front of me and I want to kill the healer in 2 seconds or something. That's when I would use it. You may have seen some of our if you've seen Bajira's videos, he's actually I was actually in 2 of them where the burst combination I had with him was just so ridiculous, where the guy went from like 50% to 0 in one of the videos, and there was a resto druid that I was on my horde Ret Paladin who wasn't even fully geared. We globaled a resto druid from 100 to 0 after he sheared him, and I can't explain. You have to watch the video in like a half a second in order to actually see what happened to the resto druid. It just happened so fast. But like I said, Ret Paladin can be very good, but it can also it's never picked, or I would advise no one picks it in rated battlegrounds. I don't do rated battlegrounds, thank God. But like I said, the Ret Paladins do have advantages and disadvantages. I would prefer to use them as maybe a 2s comp or even BG heroes. They have very limited 3s comps. I know they work well with hunters. Maybe a mage I would think would be okay, but the DR and stun I guess wouldn't be too well. But again, this is, like I said, just a basic video of the 2s comps. Now for macros, I can't even spell macros right. There we go. There's just one specific burst macro that I strongly suggest. As you can see here, I kind of mixed it in with my PvE build a little because I threw Seraphim in there because sometimes I like to use it. But the burst macro I have just pretty much combines all your your trinket and all your cooldowns, and then once you have that going, you can get some nasty combos. So here's my burst macro down here. Pop the wings, and my hopefully target it. It's not hitting too hard right now, but this is just a train touch dummy. I was hoping to get a nasty crit for you, but it doesn't seem to be wanting to crit here. But the numbers may not seem too high, but you also have to take in consideration you have a mastery damage that's going behind it. So if you only see like a 50k hit, you may see like there may be like a 30k hit behind that. So you're hitting a target for 30k off an instant cast, which isn't too bad considering you have a lot of other abilities to use in your rotation. But I think the hardest I've ever hit someone on a regular crit was like 100k, 140k around there, and that's not counting the mastery that was behind it. It was pretty much a one-shot, and this is not counting like orbs from or any type of damage buffs besides maybe berserking buff. But there can be, like I said, the Ret Paladin is very fun to play. I specifically love this transmog that I have going here. I use the sword off of Archimon Heroic. I think it works well with this gear. And then the gear I'm running right now is the Wrathful set. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could possibly think that might be beneficial to you at this point, but like I said, the Ret Paladin's actually very easy to use. pretty much the priority of your rotation is that you pretty much want to use your Crusader Strike and Exorcism first, and then maybe use a Judgment for if you're trying to catch your target. Um, the reason behind it is because Crusader Strike and Exorcism doesn't is affected by your mastery. Your Judgment is not. So your Judgment may not hit as hard, but like I said, I use Judgment mainly for a speed burst or if I'm trying to just get that last edge. Now, if you have wings up or if you're in execute range of 35%, then yeah, obviously use your hammer first, which is going away in Legion, which I'm very sad about. Hopefully they keep it back, but or if there's been a change that I just haven't seen yet. But this is just, like I said, this is just a basic tutorial of the Paladin class, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. You can always catch me on World of Warcraft. I am on Bladefist, or if you really if you want to check out Bajira's stream, I'm always hanging out there, either uh, keeping moderation of the chat in there and just making sure everyone's having a good time. So strongly suggest stopping by Bajira's stream. He's an awesome streamer and is great to hang out with. So if you have any more questions, just go ahead and feel free to contact me. But I do appreciate you guys staying and watching the video, and I hope your battlegrounds go great. I'm not sure how else to say that, but like I said, the Ret Paladin's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually re-rolled to Ret Paladin this expansion because I wasn't liking the Shadow Priest changes. So yeah, Ret Paladin is the way to go. If you want something that's fun in BGs, just regular BGs. Rated Battlegrounds, like I said, you probably won't get invited because everyone wants Warlocks and Balanced Druids and Warriors, or DKs for that matter. Ret Paladins just don't have a place right now, and high-end rated Battlegrounds. Who knows? Maybe you'll have maybe 10 friends that wouldn't mind having your Ret Paladin if you know what you're doing. I mean, like I said, you have a lot of clutch defensive cooldowns that you can use to either A, win games, or keep your allies alive. If your flag carrier is about to go down, you put a key lay on hands on them, get them back up to 100%, and I was able to keep them alive long enough just to get that cap and win the game. I mean, there's clutch right there. I mean, I've had a lot of clutch games using my defensive cooldowns properly. So anyways, just have a good night, and one wave I should show you there, and thank you for watching the video. Thanks.